name is Howdy, and welcome to the Pantheon, where it's Innistrad, but not everything is horrifying. Most things are, though. But we've got a lovely collection here. We've got Halana and Alena, partners, who used to have the mechanic partner, but they don't have it now. So they are partners, but not with partner, if you get what I'm saying. 4 mana for a 2/3 first strike and reach. At the beginning of combat on your turn, puts X 1/1 counter on another target creature you control, where X is Halana and Alena's power. That creature gains haste until end of turn. That's really quite good. Nice aggressive card. You can really generate a lot of power with that. And it's a hasty threat. Very like a certain god. I don't know if you've ever seen a god that does something similar to this. But it's a permanent buff, which is what I really like. Giving that +1/+1 counters is very powerful because we can keep building and building and building on it. It's not just temporary. So quite cool. Do you know what else should be permanent? Your subscription to the YouTube channel. Yes, wonderful. Please subscribe. I'm going to be doing videos like this for every single legendary creature. And by God, there's so many of them. So come and join me on the journey. And without further ado, let's have a look at my top 5 for these two fine women. And in at number 5, well, it's what the deck is built around in my eyes. It's Infect. So much fun. For me, no one else. But Infect works fantastically with a permanent buff and means we only have to deal 10 damage to our opponents. So our commander baseline is going to give him +2/+2 permanently. So Glistener Elf, who's a 1/1 for 1, will be a 3/3 Infect. So we only have to deal 10 Infect counters and we win the game. Or at least kill someone. You know, this is commander. Sadly, there's more than one person against us. This is just a great card, and you know, it comes down early. Our commander can come out straight away, give this haste and the buff, get swinging in there and generate some poison counters. Then we've got Blight Mamba, 2 mana for a 1/1 with Infect, pay 2 to regenerate it. So we want to fill this deck with as many cheap Infect creatures as possible, and that way we can always have something that can infect our opponents to death. Then we've got Cyst Bearer, 3 mana 2/3 with Infect. All of these cards, the thing about Infect is like these cards are pretty goddamn boring, aren't they? They're just generic small creatures, but it's so cool when you get to go off and just absolutely murder someone with them. This Putrefax is a one-hit combo with certain things. This is one of the best ways to kill your opponents. 5 mana, 5/3, so it can be a 7/5 with our commander straight away if our commander's baseline. Trample and Infect and Haste. So even if our commander isn't there, this can swing in, potentially kill someone. And, you know, spoilers, there might be quite a few ways to double a creature's power. So this alone, if we double its power, well, it's suddenly a 10 power Infect creature. So if no one blocks it, they're just outright dead. That brings me on to Viridian Corruptor. 3 mana, 2/2, Elf Shaman with Infect. And when it enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact. Having that incidental value attached to an Infect creature is just phenomenal. There's always going to be an artifact out there, Sol Ring, you know, things like that that we're going to destroy. Generate tons of value. And then we can just get swinging with a 4/4 Infect Haste with our commander on the field. And for 3 mana, that is incredible. Then on the bigger side, we've got Phyrexian Swarmlord. 6 mana for a 4/4 with Infect. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 green Infect creature token with Infect. Infect with Insect. I want to insect my... Anyway, we put them onto the battlefield for each poison counter your opponents have. So the idea of this deck is to chip away early with all of these, you know, cheap Infect creatures, generate a bunch of Infect counters, and then this will just create a colossal army for us to then close out the game with. Excellent card, and you know, it's a 6/6 infecting haster with our commander on the field if our commander is just a 2-power creature. Then a mana dork that does something we want to do. Plaguemere is amazing. 2 mana, 1/1 with Infect, and taps for a colorless or a generic, I think. I can't remember exactly which one it is. But the great thing about this is, with our commander, we pay this for 2 mana, we give it haste, we tap it for a mana, only really costs us 1 mana. We can easily combo and storm off. It's exactly what you want to be doing. And that brings me on to number 4. So our commander is a great way of buffing all of these creatures, but I want to look at a couple of other ways that I'd buff these creatures as well. Imperial Plate is a great one. 2 mana for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand. Equipped for 2. So the great thing is you can just equip this onto one of your Infect creatures, say if our commander dies, something like that. And then we want to be filling our hand as much as possible. It's a little sub-theme of the deck. But we can equip this to our commander. Make our commander, say we've got 7 cards in hand. Okay, our commander's a 9 power creature. Then, beginning of our combat, we make something, it get +9/+9 counters and haste. So that is fantastic and works brilliantly with this card. Similarly, there's Hand of Vecna. 3 mana for an equipment. It's legendary. At the beginning of combat on your turn, a quick creature or a creature you control named Vecna gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. And the great thing here is equip, pay 1 life for each card in your hand, which could be quite costly. You know, if you've got 7 cards, okay, 7 life to equip, but you're saving your mana, or it's equipped for 2. So this is another great way of generating a massive commander or a massive attacking threat. Really, really great card. Then the Scent of Ivy. 1 green for an instant, reveal any number of green cards in your hand. Target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards revealed this way. So if you remember the times when we talked about Infect, well, a lot of those cards were green because green just, well, has the best Infect cards. So if you're playing something like this, this is potentially 1 green mana to give +6/+6. This could be absolutely game-ending with our Infect creatures, or on our commander to give something permanently +6/+6. Really great card. Then we've got Inner Calm, Outer Strength. A great title. 3 mana for an instant, arcane. Target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. So a 3 mana version, it doesn't just count green cards. You know, you're not revealing your entire hand to someone. Well, to everyone. But it's a great way of buffing things. And I've talked a lot about filling up our hand. And the reason is our commander makes us a lot, or allows us to make a massive creature whenever we want, really. We can just grow anything. And buffing those things up is integral if we're going to be drawing cards off them. Return of the Wild Speaker is a 5 mana instant. Choose 1. Non-human creatures you control get +C until the end of turn, so all of our Infect creatures will get buffed by that. Our commander won't, but you can draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control. So the idea of this deck is we turn all of our things into massive dorks using our commander, and then we can draw tons of cards of them with things like Return of the Wild Speaker. It's an instant, it buffs the board, it draws you tons of cards, fills your hand for all of the pump spells we were talking about. Amazing. Similarly, there's Rishkar's Expertise. 6 mana sorcery, draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. So the great thing about this is it doesn't target, so it's not a target creature, so our opponents can't remove it in response. This just takes anything. And we're going to have a massive commander, and then we're going to be making a massive Infecty attacker. So we're always going to have a big thing knocking about. Then you may cast a spell with mana value 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Woo! It's pretty goddamn good. When you've just drawn about 10 cards, you're going to have something great to cast. Like maybe Greater Good. Woohoo! 4 mana for enchantment, sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power, then discard 3 cards. So this can just churn through the deck. Yes, you have to sacrifice the creature, but that's not the end of the world when you're refilling your hand. Maybe your Infect creature, you know, it's going to die, something like that, or a commander's going to be killed by something. Just sacrifice everything, refill our hand, fill the graveyard with a couple of other things. Then there's Garruk Primal Hunter. 5 mana for a 3 loyalty Garruk. +1, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. -3, draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. The reason we want to play it, just 5 mana. He comes in, he kills himself, which is a sad sight to see, but we can, you know, draw tons of cards. And instead of playing Infect and things like that, maybe you want to play some Proliferate cards, and then you can Proliferate it before you use the minus and keep him around. Then -6, create a 6/6 green worm creature token for each land you control. We're playing green. We'll have a fair few lands. That'll probably win us a game. And then let's have a look at number 2. And then at number 2, we've got unnatural growth and doubling. Let's double the power and toughness of our things. 5 mana, I was going to say 6 because I can't read. There's too many green dots there. Enchantment at the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. So the wonderful thing is, yes, our infect creatures, we want to double them up, but if we double our commander will then give double the amount of counters. So say it's a baseline 2/2, it becomes a 4/4, it'll give 4 counters to the then doubled card over here. So our infect creatures are going to be rocketing in for tons of damage. Really, really great card. And the artwork's amazing. Look at that massive werewolf with his big beating stick. He's just absolutely going to destroy everyone's lives. Then, speaking of doubling, this is a new card here. Choose your weapon. 3 mana for an instant. Choose one. 2 weapon fighting. Double target creature's power and toughness lines of turn. So this is great on our commander or as a combat trick for one of our infected creatures. Or archery, the spell deals 5 damage to target creature with flying. That seems pretty bad. You know, it's very specific, but there's going to be plenty of situations when there's a horrible dragon lord sitting over there or something like that, and you just need to kill it. And this spell can do it. It works wonderfully in the deck and just does exactly what we want to do in doubling it, and it's versatile. And that's one of the things I love about Magic, you know, the versatility. It's almost like having cycling on the card, you know, because that's the best mechanic ever. It gives you a different option. Then there's Unleash Fury, 2 mana for an instant. Double the power of target creature until end of turn. Wonderful. Will just win you games. You're going to infect people to death with this. It works brilliantly. Then there's Berserk, the classic. 1 green for an instant. Cast Berserk only before the combat damage step. Cool. Target creature gains trample and gets +X/+O until end of turn, where X is its power. At the beginning of the next end step, destroy that creature if it attacked this turn. So there's so many cool things about this card. It's doubling the power, giving it trample, so that's a nice bit of evasion that maybe one of your infect creatures doesn't have. But the fact that it's destroyed at the end of combat means if we have an indestructible attacker like Blightsteel Colossus, maybe if you want to go big on the infect thing, this will double and then we go to destroy it, but we can't destroy it. And then the last thing is, for 1 green mana, this is a removal spell. Say someone's swinging in with like an Elish Norn or something like that, they've got a bit cocky, they're like, I'm going to swing at you for 4. Well, you go, okay, I'll berserk your Elish Norn. Okay, I get hit for 8, but their Elish Norn is then destroyed at end of turn. So it works as a removal spell. It just does everything. I love this card to pieces. Then God Eternal Ronus. 5 mana for a 5/5 with Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, double the power of each other creature you control until end of turn. Those creatures gain Vigilance until end of turn. The Vigilance is really, really nice because the thing about decks like this where you're attacking in all the time, sometimes you do need to hold back. And having a Death Touch blocker is fantastic, but also giving Vigilance to everything is even better. Really great card. Then we've got Exponential Growth, double green and double X. Till end of turn, double target creature's power X times. So when you thought doubling, you know, once was all right, no, twice. Wait, 3 times. And then, you know, it's a bit redundant after that. Your opponents are probably dead. But this is a great card. It does exactly what I want to do in the deck. Using this on our commander to like double our commander's power to be, I don't know, 258, 256 or something, means that we can just slam in there for tons of damage. And, oh, wonderful times. And then, you know, these, you know, young ladies, they're sort of doing a Xenagos impression. But I actually think this card's Alana and Stellana or whatever, I can't remember the name, are actually better than Xenagos. 5 mana, 6/5 indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, it isn't a creature. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the creature's power. So yes, you could, you know, play Malphagos, Malignus, that's the one, and then just be attacking your opponents for lethal. But I like the fact that you have to build more around the sisters or whatever they are. The partners, that's it, the partners. Xenagos, it just hands you too much on a play. It's just too simple in my opinion. And that brings me on to number 1. And in number 1, so we've got all these Infect creatures, you know, we're pumping them, things like that. But we need to attack and get in for damage, don't we? And giving Evasion is incredibly important in decks like this. So, Access Tunnel is one of my favourite things for this deck. One, because it's a land, so it's not taking up a spell slot. But it also plays with the fact that our creatures are going to start off small. 3 mana and tap target creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. So we want to do this before combat, before our commander's applied any of the sort of buffs or anything. We do this before combat, say on our, you know, Glistener Elf. Then we give our Glistener Elf +9/+9 counters, and then we swing in for 10 Infect unblockable. That's pretty goddamn good, you know what I mean? I love this sort of thing. Similarly, and you know, a more classic version is Rogue's Passage, and this is even better maybe because it doesn't matter if our creature is already colossal. Tap to recurse and pay for and tap it. Tag creature can't be blocked this turn. It doesn't matter how big it is. But Access Tunnel, it's a new card, just thought I'd highlight for you. This card, it'll just win you games. Then Manifold Key, 1 mana for an artifact, 1 and tap, untap another target artifact, so good with any sort of mana rocks. Then pay 3 and tap. Tag creature can't be blocked this turn. So if you're playing something like Manifold Key, I'd very much take our ramp package into the artifact sort of sphere, because then we can get some advantage from this, you know, untapping it and that sort of gubbins. But just having something there that can make our creatures unblockable is wonderful. It really, really is. And then finally, we got a Suspicious Bookcase. 2 mana for an artifact creature, wall with Defender. 0/4, but our commander can buff this to be a 10, 14 or whatever if you really wanted it to be. The main thing I'm playing it for is tap, pay 3, target creature can't be blocked this turn. So it allows us to get in with our little Infecty Wecties. What's a Wecty? I have no idea. And those are my top 5 creatures. No, they're not. They're not all creatures. Cards. That's the word. For this commander. Really cool commander. And I do prefer them to Xenagos. I think they're just far more interesting. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends about it. See you soon. Bye.